Yo, people, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another cricket show for this episode 38 of the Off to the Boundary show. There are some interesting and fun topics to discuss, of course. The main two you can see in the title: David Warner's farewell test. We say goodbye to him. Also, his ODI career has come to an end, and the shortest test match ever took place in Cape Town, India, against South Africa. Um, and joining me here to discuss every single bit of this is the one and only Manny. How are you?
Yeah, all good, thank you. And this is, of course, my first time back on the channel for 2024. So let me say Happy New Year to all of you from me. And good to be back talking cricket. We do have a few things to discuss. The David Warner farewell is something we should get into first. And there is also another piece of news involving the Australian captain. Not very serious news per se, but we might want to get into that.
Yeah. Um, but let's start, of course, on the lighter note. Um, that is David Warner, of course. He has now retired officially from both Test and ODI cricket, saying he started his Aussie career as um, playing T20, starting off T20, and he wants to end it. And I reckon he wants to play in a T20 World Cup final. Let that be his final match. So yeah, but uh, like I'm just going to quickly talk about his career. Um, Warner had a memorable debut in international cricket when he was plucked from obscurity without having played a single first class match. Um, I lost my place now. And made a stunning not 90, 89 of 43 balls in a T20 against South Africa. He continued to impress in the T20 format of the game, was one of the few bright spots during Australia's first round exit in the '09 edition of the T20 World Cup in England. With a slot opening up in the Australian Test squad, Warner was one among the many choices already a regular in the ODI lineup. Warner made his Test debut against New Zealand in the Australian summer of 2011. He played his last Test match against Pakistan in December 2023. Now, in his career, he's played 112 Test matches, 161 ODIs, 99 T20 international, also of course in counting. He scored 80,000, no, not 80,000, sorry, 8,729 runs in Test matches and 6,932 runs in ODIs. He also has 62, not 62, I keep switching my numbers around, 26 Test centuries and 22 ODI centuries. Of course, he's known for his aggressive batting style and was one of the world's most successful opening batsmen in the world. Um, and he wants to start as a commentator, according to this, as I'm reading. Is His next step, his future step, is to join the commentators panel, which is fair enough. Um, but exceptional career, of course. I only really watched the late part of his career, but Manny, you will know his career really in full. Um, yeah,
Well,
floors.
not necessarily in full, and I think I will start with a bit of a cheap shot. If he does have plans on joining a commentary team, He better make sure that Mitchell Johnson won't be in the same booth as he is.
Yeah,
But then, listen, I mean, if Kevin Peterson can continue to work with the likes of Graham Swan and company, then I suppose maybe those two guys can mend fences. I don't know. It's, I mean, grudges are really interesting, you know. And another nice thing about David Warner is that he is one of only a precious few players to have um, used the switch hit effectively in limited overs cricket. He is, of course, naturally right-handed, but bats left-handed. And on one occasion, I believe it was an ODI, it might have been against India, I think, in Australia. He actually changed his stance to become a perfect right-hander, even changing the grip, and just got down on one leg and smited it for six all the way over long on, which is normally what would have been long off for him.
no, I think we lost money there. So just remove him. Um, yeah, I think maybe a power cut on his side, but yeah. Um, be up, Chelsea fan. Yeah, do smash that like button. Be up yourself. Actually, oh yeah, be up. I think I know who you are, but can't remember the name. But big up. Um, yeah, like Manny said, of course. Naturally left-handed, batting right-handed. Um, it's Arteta. Oh, yeah. I think it's going to join now again. We'll see. It's Arteta effect. That's a class. That's a class comment. That one. Um. Okay. Just joined on this bubble. Arteta effect, man. The Arteta effect.
Yeah, forget about that. I mean, like, look, not so much an Arteta effect as the fact that whenever we have the UPS, we switch it. Sometimes it just goes off automatically. Should have told my dad not to do that, but it is what it is. And as I've said, if you were to, I was about to go on YouTube and look for videos of David Warner executing the switch hit. And if you were to look at that, you will see that he did in fact pull that off. And certainly, he is one of the few more consistently aggressive Aussie openers. I do believe it was, of course, Michael Slater who started that trend really in the early '90s or so, and Warner obviously wanted to continue that kind of legacy as well. Matthew Hayden and Justin Langer were also heavy scorers, but different, had somewhat different styles, you could say. But Warner being only 5'7", I'd say marginally shorter than me, I'd like to think. He obviously, was more of the type of batsman who could use his lower center of gravity to wherever he could. Not a very bad player of short pitch bowling at all. But later on in his career, as with a lot of other left-handers, he had a bad tendency to end up fishing, as they would say, outside the off stump. So a lot of bowlers, including Stuart Broad and others, would know that if you wanted to get him out later on, all you had to do was, as a right-handed, a right-arm bowler, bowl round the wicket to him, his offside, he'd nick to the slips. And that's, sadly, in his last few tests against England and Pakistan, and even before, that was sort of a way he would get out. But when it came to limited overs cricket, he clearly was a lot more peerless, I would say. And it was very difficult for people to get him out as often as they did. And I think for a guy like him who's played as many tests as he's played, he might look back and say that with Steve Smith, albeit a middle order batsman, having played fewer tests than him, I think recently he had his 102, and scoring in excess of 9,000 runs, maybe he could have done a little bit more. But then opening batsmen and middle order batsmen are always chalk and cheese, just as you can never really compare someone like a Gary Kirsten or a Graham Smith to a Jacques Callis, you can't really compare someone like a David Warner to a Stephen Smith. It's just not really plausible. And he certainly wasn't short of controversy. Certainly had a rather tough upbringing compared to a large number of his teammates. Subtlety wasn't necessarily one of his strong points, but he certainly did have a really big heart. And I think the nice thing about his farewells, he was able to um, finish his career with his old mate Osman Khawaja at his side. Both of them, of course, having been in each other's pockets for several years now, having played in the same youth teams together and what have you. And it's good that he's going to continue his T20 career. I do believe that, as you mentioned, having played 99 T20 internationals, he'll want his 100th. He also would like to have a T20 World Cup. Certainly, that balance has got to be addressed. And yeah, and certainly, the misery of failing to qualify for the semi-finals on his home turf will have hurt him. He'll want to address that balance when Australia goes all the way to the US and the West Indies to play in that upcoming tournament. So some people have been mean-spirited enough to say that he doesn't deserve to have the storied ending to his career that he has had now. Winning the Ashes, being a World Test champion, being a World ODI champion, and continuing to end his career on his own terms. But I do like this trend where players who have given long service to Australia for a distinguished period of time get to end their careers on their terms. It's a courtesy that hasn't really been afforded to several other players. I think of Simon Cattich as one who suffered very badly. And I don't want to get into that controversy either. But he deserved his happy ending, and he will be remembered as one of the greats. Certainly for the way he approached opening the batting. And he can certainly look back on what he did for Australian cricket with a great deal of pride. Of course, less said about the sandpaper incident, the better. But he served his time, and I mean, there's always
Yeah.
I'll go back and forth to on the whole sandpaper incident because there is a part of me that doesn't like people who indulge in that type of unsportsmanlike behaviour. Whether it's from Pakistan or anyone else with the ball tampering, or even from England's side, Michael Atherton with the dirt in the pocket incident, or even the Mintgate incident when England played India in a home test series. I believe that was in 2007, if memory serves me right. I just don't like to see any of these tactics. And the Sandpapergate issue was a disgusting chapter in Australian cricket history. But it wasn't fair, in my opinion, that Warner was given the brunt of the punishment. Maybe as vice captain, he did have a big role to play, but Steve Smith also was equally in cahoots. But
No.
instead of debating about whether or not he should have been punished more harshly, the fact is that having shown contrition, served his time, he went on to he got back his form and started to play better. And he at least had the good sense to know when it was time to call it a day. So, all in all, well played, David. Well played. Enjoy your retirement. And, of course, we will hope to see you in the T20 World Cup, bashing bowlers around the park, unless, of course, you're playing against England in my case, or India, and South Africa in Hanno's case. But you've done well, sir. You've done well. Good luck to you.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yes, and well. Um, Staying in Australia, we'll quickly just do the Big Bash predictions. While we are in Australia, then move a bit up to South Africa. But quick Big Bash predictions. Let me just get up my Super Brew. Of course, the Brisbane Heat are absolutely smashing it. 3 points clear. Um, so yeah, Of course, tomorrow Adelaide Strikers against the Hobart Hurricanes. Um, this game, whoever wins this game saves their season really. Um, I've gone with Adelaide Strikers narrow win. I don't know money. You this one?
Yeah, I'll probably agree. I'll probably agree with you there. I think I don't know if I can really see the table, and I'm just going to try and come back onto my PC. Give me a minute.
Um, the table. Brisbane is first on 14. Scorchers second in 11. Sixers third in 10. With 10 points. Sorry. Melbourne Stars fourth with 8 points. Hobart Hurricanes fifth with 6 points. Strikers sixth with 5 points. Renegades seventh with 3 points, and then Thunder eighth with 3 points. Make the
Hmm.
full table.
Yeah, I'm also inclined to go for the strikers over the Hurricanes. I'm not too sure if there's any real way to sort of go about that.
Yeah. Next game, Heat against the
Yeah, strikers.
Scorchers. Yeah. Of course, Scorchers. Their only loss against is against the Strikers, and the Heat yet to lose a game. Of course, 2 games they lost against with rain. I'm gonna. I just think the Gabba. This is a big game. Of course, it's Perth against Brisbane. Gabba. I'm gonna go with Brisbane. Brisbane to sneak it.
I'm actually going to disagree, and I might predict a shock defeat for the Heat.
Ooh, I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Um, yeah. Um, Next game is who's on. Oh, you're trying on a PC. Fair. Um, Next game, of course, Hobart against Adelaide. Um, yeah, Hobart against Adelaide Strikers. So I played each other twice. I think at Hobart, yeah, why not? Hobart won. Um, Hobart won. Money. What do you reckon for this one?
Yeah, where's that being played at? Oh, Bellerive, right? Then Hobart should have the edge.
Yeah. So they're playing each other twice. One in Adelaide, one in Hobart. Going one apiece, really.
That's the return.
This
Yeah, that's the return one, isn't it? Yeah, that's right.
yeah. Sixers against the
Yeah.
Thunder. Sixers should win. Um, Thunder isn't all that lost in the table. Hopefully, the rain doesn't spoil the party. Um, so yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. By the way, I've actually found that video of the David Warner six switch hit. It was in the T20 International Series against India, and he expertly changed his technique to that of a right-hander and smashed Ashwin Ravichandran all the way over long off. Beautifully struck.
Fair. Um, so yeah, Sydney Sixers, Sydney Thunder. No prediction.
Oh, sixes all day. I think the
Sixers.
Thunder are just a little bit.
Return leg at the Optus Stadium in Perth. I'm gonna go Perth.
Hmm. For me, the Heat should sneak this one.
Ooh. So going home away victories in both games. Fair enough. Let's go. Of course, the big derby, Stars against Renegades. I wish there was one for like rain. Um, Cause I think the rain will end this one. Cause Melbourne has been coming down with lots of rain. Um, I'll edge it to the Stars. The Stars should win this one.
Yeah, as long as the Stars have Glenn Maxwell, they're always going to have a chance. And they're always going to be very well among the big competitors. So, yeah, Stars over Renegades.
Yeah. Um, Sunday, Fun against Strikers. Um,
Strikers all day.
yeah,
Thunder just look completely, you know, torn asunder.
yeah. We'll do this one. Melbourne Stars against Hobart. This should be a good game. Um, rain is there rain an option? Uh, kind of. Yeah. Stars should beat Hobart. Your
Yeah.
Stars Hobart.
I think the Stars might edge it. Because obviously, the Stars have always had this tendency to be consistently doing well in the league table and competing for the semi-final slot, only to not quite win. They're the perennial bridesmaids. So, I don't recollect if they've won the Big Bash in recent times, but they should be always thereabouts. And of course,
Yeah.
staying in Australia, this is an interesting thing which I found on the Cricinfo website. And I'm actually going to try and see if I can't show you the article right now, if I can. Um, Now, as an English fan, I'm always going to be grateful to Michael Vaughan, and I hail him as one of our greatest ever captains, the man who, of course, got us our first Ashes series win in God knows how many years. I believe the last time we beat them was in 1987, and since then we were always in the doldrums. So to break that 18-year duck was just wonderful in so many ways. I think it was actually on the Cricinfo Instagram page, but I want to see if I can try and find it. But ever since working with Fox Sports in Australia, Kenny Ken did say in one of our earlier shows that he has started to become a great deal more snidey and a little bit more, um, you know, mean spirited with some of his comments, especially what he said about James Anderson. And let me see if I can find it. Yeah, this might be the one here. This might be the one.
Yeah, I saw they did an article thing on it.
Yeah. So he basically said that Pat Cummins, of course, finished the Australia-Pakistan series as the man of the series with 19 wickets in 3 tests, including 3 consecutive 5-4s, if memory serves me right. And basically, yeah. So on Fox Cricket, and I found it. This is it. I found it, and I am going to share this right now. The article, of course, is on Cricinfo, and it says New Year, same Cummins. And I'm happy to share this, and I do wish Kenny Ken were here with us, but he is, of course, having his podcast with Jez Collins and Lee Gunner. But this is it. So the article is, of course, Cummins does Cummins things, and going straight to the thing here, to the heart of the matter. On Fox Cricket, Michael Vaughan made a big call about where Cummins would eventually sit among Australian cricketers when asked who he would pick between him and Dennis Lillee. Yes, I saw a bit of Dennis Keith Lillee on screen, but Cummins in time. He's never going to surpass Sir Don Bradman, but Cummins will end up being Australia's greatest cricketer after Sir Don. And of course, he had, of course, a 10-wicket haul in Melbourne at the MCG among his 19 wickets in that series. But just taking a look at Cummins' career, um, he's in the early part of his 30s. He began his career for Australia ahead of other guys in the team, and obviously, he was given the opportunity to become Australian captain, given his own comparative experience. But for several reasons, he was in and out of the team, and only really had solidified his place in the team just before being given the captaincy. And he's
Yeah.
played 58 tests. He's he's just into his 30s. So if he's a fast bowler, you've got to expect that he may probably only have about 5 or 6 good years in him. If he's not of express pace, then he could pass
No,
20
lost him
wickets,
again.
which gives him a grand total of 454. That's quick math right there. Thank you very much indeed. As an all-rounder, he has 2 Test 50s. Not exactly a prolific lower order batsman, but the reason why I have a big issue with what Vaughan said is that Kenny and I were talking about how during the Ashes, Cummins' captaincy was found wanting, especially when it came to the question of handling his spinners. With Nathan Lyon injured, it was Todd Murphy who effectively came into the side, but he never really gave Murphy the confidence he deserved. And Cummins is, of course, now quite fortunate to be able to have the services. Obviously, he had David Warner for quite some time, but now Warner's retired. He will still have Usman Khawaja at the top of the order because although he's been a little bit spotty in comparison to the year he had before, he's still more than capable of scoring some good runs and has the technique to avoid getting out for low scores far too often. Still has the services of the great Lion himself, Nathan, and Mitchell Stark, among others. But when several of these greats retire, he might have a role to play in terms of guiding in the new generation. But we also saw with Australia that when they had a spate of retirements of their own, they struggled a bit. So for Vaughan to heap this praise on Cummins, based on the purple patch that he's had so far, let's also put into perspective that this Pakistani batting lineup was so anatomically weak, it's scary. The ex-captain Azam's out of form. The new captain Masood had a few moments. There were some batsmen in that series who had some moments, but none of them really staked a claim to literally being the next star as such. So I really can't vibe with that, and I really think that this is one particular occasion where Vaughan's completely gone round the bend or round the twist, as we would say, and I think the best time to judge Cummins would be after a few years when having to deal with the retirements from international cricket that he will deal with. How he leads the team in subsequent tournaments and series will be key. He was brilliant in the World Cup final, made the correct decision to bowl first and rotated his bowlers brilliantly. But in the Ashes series, he wasn't that good at all, according to Kenny Ken. And when Nathan Lyon retires, how is he going to treat the next spinner that comes in? Could it be Todd Murphy? Could it be Adam Zampa? Vaughnie, I love you, mate, but you've lost it. Hanno, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I think of course I don't watch Don or know him much, but Cummins isn't really up there with. He's achieved much as a captain, but he's not yet there. Like you can see, okay, he's captain. He's the best captain, best player for them. So I think till he does that, he won't really be there, but he is improving day by day. Um, and yeah,
I would
He
like
will
to see him
definitely do
end.
well.
I'd like to see him end his career. Sorry to cut you in, but I want to see him end his career with 400 Test wickets as the bare minimum, and see how well he does in the other formats, and then we can judge him. But we can accept that he has had a wonderful purple patch so far. Let's see how he fares once that purple patch is gone.
Yeah, you'll see how he, he does then. Um, yeah, but like I said, I think it's not yet up there. And we'll see what he does in the future. Um, so yeah, as captain. But moving a bit up, of course, the shortest Test match ever in history. South
Oh
Africa
boy.
against India in the mother city of Cape Town. South Africa 55 runs. India respond with 153. First time ever. 7 wickets taken in 7 wickets taken in 2 overs without a run being collected. South Africa respond with 170 ish, and India, of course, won it. Not really hard, but still needed to win it. They did it. That. So yeah. Madness, of course. Absolute madness. Of course. Yeah, 176 we got, and then they only a few run gap. Um, but still, you look at the second innings, Markram gets 100. So, and even looking at India's second innings, it seems like it it was getting easier to bet on, but still not as easy. They spoke with Freelander in the start of the day. He said, I can't remember if it's a millimeter or centimeter extra grass on the pitch, so that had an effect. So no, definitely is big effect for them. Um, yeah, baffling, absolutely baffling. Um, and we, I think we'll see what happens. We'll see what
When you say
happens.
see what happens, has there been a complaint lodged against the Cape Town
Um,
groundsman,
I
or what's the story?
I think when I say we'll see what happens in terms of test matches again being played there in Cape Town. Um, how um, and what the effect will be, what basically the effects of the test match will have, really.
Look, I'm not in favour of taking Test cricket away from that because Cape Town, Newlands, it's one of the more iconic venues, really, in 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 world cricket. And I don't think I remember a Cape Town Test where wickets fell in such a clump that way. But I'm really not in favour of completely taking Test cricket away from Cape Town for this incident. I think file a complaint against the groundsman and have a fine be issued, but don't take cricket away from Cape Town. I'm sorry. I mean,
Yeah.
no,
No.
that just isn't
Yeah.
on.
You're probably right, but
I will say this certainly about the
23 weeks
game.
in one day. It's mad.
Yeah, I would agree, and obviously, you know, you don't want to see wickets falling like 9 pins or 10 pins or what have you. And having said that, you also don't want to see days of cricket where the batsmen make hay and the bowlers end up toiling in the hot sun for no reward. But having said all of that, I think there was some discussion on the pitch, and it was interesting to hear Rohit Sharma say, we don't mind playing on these pitches, but now don't you dare criticize us for, having these sub for whenever we
Yeah, we
use
spent on
our
the first day. Yeah, I saw that. That's
yeah.
and it's
So
totally right. It's absolutely right.
yeah, but here's the thing though: two wrongs don't make a right. I'm not in favor of It's one thing, for teams to try and prepare pitches that will suit their own bowlers. That is called home advantage for a reason. But you still don't want to take away all the competitiveness from it. You certainly don't want to have a situation where
That,
certain games that to end up turning a little bit farcical.
that's also why I don't know why we said to the groundsman make the pitch like we made it. Cause make it dead. Cause we're 1-0 up. Make it a dead pitch. Make it absolutely dead. I
Yeah,
but and you're batting first, so yeah,
yeah,
just
but
misjudgment.
who won the toss and who agreed to who was it
We won the
Elgar?
toss. We won the toss.
Well, it's sad, really, because of course another person who bid farewell to international cricket was your departing captain,
Yeah,
former captain, I should say, Dean Elgar. Maybe he would have been best advised to have bowled first instead, because I mean, seeing the way India lost their last six or so wickets for no runs, maybe if India had been stuck in, they would have secured that win. Full credit to Aidan Markram though for a fine 100. I think he weathered the as you said, it did get a bit easier on which to bat, but he still had to play the innings, and I thought he played very well.
yeah,
And yeah, this is just a reminder now that we don't want to see any of these games turn into farces. There has to be a fair spirit of competition, and will also know that home teams in Test series have the option for using the heavy roller as well when it comes to their turn to bat. So I think there have to be some discussions about how best home advantage can be used. We definitely don't want to see games become like this. I do seem to remember a game between England and the West Indies, which was also finished in 2 days, but that was because England under Nasser Hussain bowled really well. Darren Goff and Andrew Caddick skittled them out cheaply in the second innings, and we beat them by an innings, and it was over within 2 days.
yeah.
But at least
Also, let's
there,
not
uh,
forget about Magic Siraj with the 6 wickets.
oh
He
yeah,
took. Um,
yeah,
but yeah,
Mohammad Siraj and Jasprit Bumrah are certainly two of India's best bowlers now. But there will always be this some question. I believe, if memory serves me right, Bumrah wasn't a part of the World Cup squad. I think he got injured midway, and
yeah, he
Siraj
got.
played the final. But there's always going to be talk about whether Ashwin should have come in instead of him, given that it was a dust bowl pitch and maybe the spinners would have had effect. Kuldeep Yadav and Jadeja that day was simply ineffective. But at least Ashwin is still playing Test cricket for India and still regarded as an important spinner in foreign conditions. So at least they're finding some use for him. If only they had played him in the World Test Championship final, would have been a different story, perhaps.
Yeah, perhaps. And we'll move on to the next one. Former players slam cricket South Africa. So, you guys haven't seen the news. Of course, we sent out a B, C
Yeah,
squad,
close.
CF itself.
Are you
Mr.
doing
B,
what?
A nice
yeah.
segue. He was talking about B squad, and now Mr. B's come in.
So yeah, if you guys haven't seen the squad, of course we sent a B, C, maybe even D squad, with one, two, three players, mainstay players, that have played for South Africa over the past few years. Two at Test series in New Zealand, and former players have been slamming cricket South Africa, saying, um, you're disrespecting Test crickets and everything. I definitely get it, but I'm going to say what the board
Mm.
member said. Cricket South Africa won't survive without the SAT 20. That's why most of our big players aren't playing Test cricket. I can get the integrity of playing Test cricket and everything, but the only way Cricket South Africa makes money, and that's a sad thing, it's a sad reality,
Well,
fortunately.
what happened against India? I know.
Uh, we already skipped that part, we'll get back to that.
Yeah.
But the sole reason
Yeah.
why this is happening is because we don't have the funds. We don't have the funds.
Mm.
This is why we need the SAT 20. Unfortunately, that is the situation. I would have loved to see the likes of Markram, Alga, and them play. I'm sad to
Yeah.
see us not, of course, call Alga saying, let's play again. Just play this
He's
one and
retired
then
now,
you cannot.
isn't he? Mm.
Yeah. But that's the state
That's a
cricket South
retired.
Africa is
He's on
in. We
Test
need
cricket.
SAT
Yeah.
20 to give us to make funds for us to use over the course of the year forward. Of course, I get players. Of course, David Benningham removed himself from the auction and said he's not going to be playing this to
What's that for
play.
IPL?
No, yeah, he signed for Alpha, but he's not going to play in the SAT 20 because he wants to play for um for the Proteas. Fair enough, be up to him. But I get where they are coming from. The integrity the players should know, but in the end of at the end of the day, this is where Cricket South Africa makes its bread and butter. This is where
Yeah.
they bring food on the table. So yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think about the whole situation?
Yeah, I'm going to sort of come in over here, I'm going to get Steve's opinion on this because obviously, as England fans, we will
Mm.
we will remember a
Yeah.
similar issue which affected English cricket back in the day. Now, how much, in your opinion, Hannah, do South Africa's cricketers earn if they're contracted to playing Test cricket or international cricket for the Proteas?
I can't tell you. I will need to search up how much money they earn. But I can't think it will be much because we play like two test matches. Um, well, two series test matches in space of a year. So test match cricket isn't
No,
favored.
no, not for this particular year, but normally, like let's say, for example, if you got someone like a Markram who is playing, I believe he's playing in all three formats. How much would he earn? And I know that there are some players who don't get to play in all three formats. Can you just give an estimate as to how much they would earn in rand, perhaps?
Um, from just test cricket or from both, from all of it.
From anything, like whatever you have, whatever you think.
Um, so let me get okay. So um, doo-doo-doo. Uh, so doo-doo. miss. I'm trying to see. Okay, so the the average one, of course, um, doesn't say how much. Okay. Um, um, so let's take Rodaba. Kagiso Rodaba. Of course, he's got Cricket South Africa contract. He's got the IPL and sponsorship deals, and other endorsements. So he's I don't know if it's just from Cricket South Africa, but no, not just from Cricket South Africa, but over he will usually get 3.5 million from the Cricket South Africa contract, stints in the IPL, and sponsorship deals and endorsements. So let's say he has how many? Let's say he has um eight sponsorship deals and endorsements. He gets so each of them. Let's go 3.5 more. Um. There we go. Divided by Cricket South Africa. Let's say you earn from Cricket South Africa in a year about 500,000. Um, yeah, I will go with maybe closer to a million. Um, you would, I don't know exactly because it doesn't say on here, but
Hmm.
um,
Because what? Oh, yeah, because so one thing which sort of worries me in a way is that when CSA opted to introduce the SA T20, they must have. I think what they probably wanted to try and do was have this tie up with the IPL in a way, which is why all of the teams'
yeah,
names
it's
have
owned
been.
by one of the. It's owned by the IPL. I think there's some connection with the
Yeah,
IPL.
so that sort of gives you an idea in some ways where that money will be coming from, and you know, it seems more apparent to me that if this is probably the thing that's attracting more and more people to come to the grounds these days because it is franchise cricket, T20 cricket. Um, you know, it's a sad state of affairs. It really is. And just taking a look at the squad that has been selected to play in New Zealand, I mean, you've got the debutant captain Neil Brand. He's not going to be another Francois Pienaar who um, began his international rugby career with South Africa, captaining the team and led them famously to that 1995 World Cup triumph on home soil. Um, he's not. He's definitely not going to be there. And you got, in addition to Bedingham and others, you got Dwayne Oliver, who's played 15 tests, but was until quite recently a Colpack player playing in England. And after the UK went out of the European Union, obviously we had to change our regulations for overseas players, which is why Bedingham was apparently playing with Durham and possibly considering the prospects of playing for England in the future. But then he had to come back, and he's now played a couple of tests for South Africa. Um, it's really sad because in England as well, and Steve will remember this. There was a time in the mid to late 90s when, as people will know, English international cricket and particularly Test cricket was, in the doldrums. And
Yeah.
internationally, we were no better. In '96, we exited the World Cup at the quarterfinal stage,
Mm.
breaking our sequence of having made the semi-finals or better in the previous
Yeah.
tournaments. And in
Yeah.
1999, when we hosted the World Cup, which was supposed to be something celebrating a new brand of cricket, something which would have been England's pride and joy, we ended up
Yeah.
crashing out of that in the group stage. Of course, one of the games was proved to have been fixed, which completely mucked us over, but I don't want to talk about that. Not it wasn't our game, of course. That was
Oh
fixed. It was
no,
another
no.
game, and but those tournaments and the way we were performing in Test
Mm.
cricket under Atherton and Stewart as captains. I mean, I liked Stewie as a player. I thought he did all right as a captain, but tactically he wasn't quite of
Yeah.
the level of Hussein and Vaughan. But those two World Cup exits prompted us to take a look inside ourselves, and I believe some reports were commissioned, the Ackfield or another report being one of them, to try and study that whole setup. Because
Mm.
one of the things that was said then by one of the ECB bigwigs was that the only reason why cricket in England is surviving through the county scene is because of the test match revenues. But if the test team just doesn't continue to perform as badly as it has been doing, and the one day team is performing no better. And of course, in that time there was no T20 cricket. then the game could potentially die. And his concerns were quite appropriate, because there were some concerns in the time that a large number of people in English county cricket in that scene believed that the strength of the first class scene would see the game survive. But the problem is, county cricket, in addition to having its own sponsors, also lives off the international revenues. So I believe after that World Cup exit, it was sort of a watershed, because we then realised that, having hit rock bottom, and we did hit rock bottom when we lost at home to New Zealand in Hussein's first Test series, the only way that we could go was up. So under Hussein and Fletcher, the ECB decided to introduce central contracts where the players would be paid more handsomely, because I'm not too sure how much they would have been paid earning money in the first class circuit. But internationally, maybe because they weren't paid too much, maybe they didn't take it too seriously. And the players knew that once their international tours were over, they could go back to their first class sides and enjoy themselves a lot more. So when the players were promised more money internationally, they started to perform better. And under those contracts, some of those players weren't allowed to play first class cricket for quite a bit of time. Now, it really sort of begs the question, Hanno, where is the money in CSA going? How much are they really earning, and where is it being spent? Because in as much as people might like to think that, T20 franchise cricket is this new exciting thing, you only get your chance to play international franchise cricket based on your international pedigree and your performances, as Kevin Peterson and others have found out. And you can't you can't just think that, you can disregard international cricket and just say, T20 is where it's at and this is what I want to do. And all of these arguments that the likes of Graham Smith and company are trying to put up, saying that the SA20 is the way forward for cricket in the country, it is a little bit disingenuous. Why are you insisting on the current players coming back to play? Because, to my knowledge, I don't even think the players were consulted. I don't even think the players in question, the likes of Markram and Bavuma and company, were even asked whether they wanted to take the trip to New Zealand or play in the SAT20. And I'm pretty certain that they would have said, no, we want to play for South Africa. We don't want to, waste time in the SAT20. I know there's money on offer, but you give some of the former internationals and some veterans and some other players more of a chance to play and let them, continue doing it. Someone like a Francois Duplessis, who's, of course, retired from international cricket but still going on strong, give some of them a chance. Give some of the returning Colpack players more of a chance to play. And it really just doesn't make any sense to me as to why the players would be so eager to... I can't believe that the players would turn down the chance to go and play in New Zealand because they don't quite have enough money. It just goes to show that maybe there are some financial issues within Cricket South Africa. Because when the team is successful, at least on an international basis, and you have been winning games, the revenues will be coming in. So, well, as I said, when an international team is strong, when the test team is doing as well as it has, you should not really have a problem with revenue. And it really is a sad state of affairs. I think there really needs to be a look into CSA, how they are, organizing their finances, where they're spending their money, and why the players aren't being paid enough. It's the same issue which has been affecting other African cricket teams, sadly. Zimbabwe is another big culprit there. They can't afford to play many of their best players, which is why one of their greatest ever, Sean Irvine, decided to pull out of the World Cup squad in, I believe that was 2015, if memory serves me right. And he said he made the right decision and he wasn't ever going to go back on that. So some of these cricket boards have a lot for which to answer. And I just think sending a team of that little experience to go and play in New Zealand is almost sacrilegious. It cannot be, at least there cannot be, in any case, it cannot be that there weren't other experienced cricketers who would have jumped at the chance to play for the Proteas again, especially some former internationals who were still doing well on the domestic circuit. So the whole thing just doesn't really make much sense to me. And I think the sooner cricket boards start prioritizing international cricket and making it clear that franchise cricket must never be allowed to completely dominate the whole sphere, the better. If I get that some people want to talk about a potential window, and even Kevin Peterson in his autobiography said that no cricketer worth his salt would want to turn down that sort of money. But then you only get that opportunity to earn that money through your performances in international cricket, and so it's catch 22. You can't try to have both the penny and the bun. So I credit Bedingham for choosing the Proteas over the SA20, and I just think that there are a lot of people that have a lot to answer over this issue. I think Steve's on the phone, but once he gets off, hopefully, we'll get back to you. Steve, what do you think? I mean, I'm sorry for talking a mile a minute.
Sure. Well, no, I was on mute anyway, so you couldn't hear it, could you? What I was doing on there. So. But no, yeah, I found that interesting what you talked about there, Manny, about obviously about England with all the revenue and the payments and stuff and the everything. I mean, back in the day though, when we saw that in the 90s and whatever, they didn't have the money in the game then, though, did they? Like they have now. And a lot of these players really, I don't think all of them are that talented like you had back then. Because we had the best players back then, didn't we? We had the big, the Bothams and the Stewart and Willis and everything. Lamb.
Botham and Lamb actually ended their careers in the early 90s, mate. I mean, but in the mid and the late 90s, we had Stewart, we had Atherton, we had Hussain, Gough, Caddick, and a few others. Yeah.
Yeah, even Tufnell. Right. But,
yeah.
But I think they were sort of they were really good players and they had the talent. And some of them now you just think, well, are they any good? Are they really any good? And some are like they're like robots, like action. It's like that guy. What was it? That one that came in, another South African, I think he is, or something. The opener for England. I can't think of his name.
Keaton Jennings.
Jennings, that's it. Yeah, and he was sort of like he got found out, didn't he? With his action and that, with his batting, he was sort of like mechanical rather than a natural, And some are just not quite got it. I don't think the natural ability of some used to have. I mean, you could say, you look at Stokes, how he can, alter his game to the situation, whereas some others just, they just in one mode. They can't do another mode, and that's it, and they get found out. So, but I think with the money situation, I think a lot of players are in it for that now, and I don't think they've got such a love for the game. It's a bit like football in a way, isn't it? There's so many that are mercenaries now in football, and you don't think, well, some of them, you don't think, how the hell have they done anything? How the hell are they any good? How the hell have they got here? Like some of what Arsenal brought, how the hell you got them, because they're pretty useless, some of them. But, you think, well, they're on too much money and they don't deserve it. That's what I think at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Too much money. An interesting argument that. But Hannah, hopefully that answers. Hopefully that answers your. Sorry, Steve. Did you have anything more to say?
No, not really, mate. No, I'm fine. I'm all
so hopefully, Hannah, that answers your question, and hopefully, what's happened with this selection by CSA should never happen again. I really don't. I mean, I get that the SA20 is bringing in a few crowds, but sooner or later, you've got to try and make the decision as to which option will really keep the true fans engrossed for longer. And for Smith to say that he hopes that the SAT20 will bring in some really good benefits later on, I think in many ways he's either living in a fool's paradise or he's having a pipe dream of his.
Yeah. But let's get on to the predictions. I won't go into the squads because, of course,
is this South African league or something? This one?
Yep,
yeah,
the SAT20.
Yeah.
SAT2. Basically, and South Africa version of the IPL.
Right.
I'm a fan of it, but Manny, who do you think will win this whole tournament?
Hmm.
I,
Well, I mean,
I don't. I haven't looked at the squads really. We
Who's
can
got the best
quickly.
squads, the best players from South Africa,
Um,
really, in there?
yeah, I
let's
think
quickly have a look.
obviously as a part of the tie-up, you can see the names there, Steve. They're sort of
Yeah, yeah.
very exactly like the IPL teams. So it is that what we've got over here is the Super Giants, right? So
Yeah,
this Super Giants team will have players from the other Super Giants team in the IPL, and
Yeah.
certainly very well represented in terms of South African talents.
Oh, English
Um,
there, Reece Topley, he's there. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
Reece Topley, I see
Nicola
him.
Puran.
Yeah.
They,
And Jason Smith, I don't think I've heard of him before.
Well, you've
Certainly
got a
South
good
African.
mixture of players all over the place, isn't they? All around the world, really.
yeah,
Good
Clausen,
players.
And
the
Tony DeZorzi is, of course,
Oh, De Kock. We've got De
uh,
Kock as
Nur
well.
Ahmed is a good player. Decent squad. Let's go Joburg, Super Kings, Fusman Ali,
And Cook.
Burger,
Oh, good, isn't it?
Gutsia, Sam Cook.
Mine alley. Burger, he relishes the fight, doesn't he? Burger. Relishes it,
yep,
yeah.
um,
yep,
yeah,
nice one.
player
Yeah,
He doesn't
let us
overdo it,
let
overdo the.
let us have some more of that. Let us.
Oh, good one, man. Good one. Yeah.
David Visa, Imran Tayer,
Lettuce.
Todd Williams.
Yeah. He does it all for bun.
Yeah,
Good players, good players. Um,
Yeah.
am I Cape
Sam Cook,
Town?
he's good singer and all, Sam Cook.
Um, Tom Batson, Chris
Sam
Benjamin,
Curran.
Daryl Beavers, Björn Hendricks. Duan Janssen, of course, brother of Marco Janssen.
Is that Livingston there and all? Yeah, yeah, thought it was.
Kieran
and
Pollard,
Pollard's
of
Pollard is
there.
course,
still
Kieran
captain.
Pollard.
playing.
Yeah. Ollie
And
Stokes.
there's your boy Rabada. This MI Cape Town team looks quite strong, and of course Erasmus van der Dussen. So you got two of the current South African stars playing, of course, and
Montana. Oh, yeah.
Jamsey,
English guy.
Roy,
Jason Roy. Yeah.
Petlin
Lungi
Kyle,
Ngidi.
Owen Miller. Captain.
Muller.
Oh,
Decent
you got
And of
team.
good
course,
Josh Bartler, he's there. Yeah.
Yeah, of course, my
yep.
team, Pretoria
Got some good players in
Capitals.
his team.
This is my
Paul
team,
Sterling.
Valverena.
He's there.
Full Salt, Ryan Lee
Bill Salt,
Russell,
yeah. Adam
Paul
Rashid.
Sterling there, the Irishman. Yep, Rashid. Wayne
Wayne
Parnell is
Parnell,
still
Jimmy
playing, no
Neeson.
longer.
Anna
Oh yeah,
Shulkir,
Norkia,
Jimmy
he's quick.
Neeson.
Norkia, quick bowler.
Yeah,
He's good.
Will Jacks. Oh, yeah, Will Jacks, Colin Ingram,
Oh, yeah.
Sinister Brain,
Good players, isn't
Ruben
it?
Bosch, Ethan Bosch. Decent team.
I think just taking a look at the squads, Hanno, I can't look beyond the MI Cape Town team because
We still need to come to, of course,
yes,
the champions last year. Sunrise
Eastern
is
Cape,
decent. Hey,
Ian Dawson. Oh, he's
Tom Abell,
on
Somerset
the bell.
boy, and then of course you got Bavuma, the national captain.
Yeah.
So
Simon Harbour. Oh, him.
he's another Cole
Janssen,
Packer, I
Owen
think.
Milan.
Markham,
I've got
Milan.
Milan there.
Aidan Markram, deputy to Bavuma in the test team, but captaining him
Oh,
there.
yeah.
So
Christian Stubbs.
I'm in your court. I'm thinking Durban or Cape Town, really.
no, for me it's got to be Cape Town. I can't look beyond them.
Yeah, same.
Strong team.
And
yeah.
and that's the thing. Like, see, just taking a look at the squads in question, you know, some of those players, of course, are very important players in that South African team. You've got the Test captain, you've got the limited overs captain, you've got two of the key bowlers, two or three rather, Rabada and Ngidi and Norche. I think Norche was injured for the World Cup, as was Rabada, but they have. I think Rabada's come back, and Norche isn't too far off. So, yeah, we're going to take a look and see how much revenue the SAT20 will really bring. I know that I do understand that in South Africa rugby union is probably the king sport, but cricket has always had its huge
Nice.
following, even back in the days of apartheid. Several of those players who played back then, Clive Rice, Barry Richards, Ray Jennings, Keaton's dad, by the way, Steve.
Oh yeah,
And, the only reason why Alan Lamb and Robin Smith came over to play for England was because they couldn't play for South Africa. Don't get me wrong, I'm delighted they came to play for us, and they were two quality players of fast bowling. But South African cricket has had a really big history, and CSA really need to be careful, because I really do hope that this tour to New Zealand will be a one-off, because there is no way that the Black Caps are going to field an understrength team to play against South Africa. And if South Africa go back from that test series with a very heavy defeat, then questions will need to be asked. Is it really worth chasing those 30 pieces of silver? A little Judas Iscariot reference there.
Arnie says gonna do with Sunrisers Eastern Cape defender title, but come on Cape Town. P.S. The name should be changed to Cape Town Indians instead of MI. Cape Town can't force that one. They sound so unoriginal. Yeah, but let's get to some of the predictions. Of course, starting on Wednesday, I think Sunrisers beat Joburg Super Kings.
I agree. I don't think the Super
Um,
Kings are going to be strong enough.
Must be.
Ooh. Yeah, I know Sunrisers. So, are you doing what actual totals or scores, or are
No,
you doing
no. Just say
Just win or loss, mate.
just
win or
who's going
loss.
to win? Yeah, Sunrisers.
Durban. This game will rain out. This game will rain out. Why not?
Oh right.
Durban against Cape Town. This game will rain out. You guys.
Oh, what's it? Arnie's on there. He's on the comment.
Yeah. In case it doesn't get rained out, in case there are a few overs played, I'm going for MI Cape Town.
My Cape Town. Steve.
I'm going to go for Durban. Sorry, Manny. I'm going to go.
No apologies. No apologies. It's all good. It's all good.
Sorry, mate. But I'll go. What's the next one? Port Royal.
Royals against Pretoria
Royal.
Capitals.
Pretoria Capital. I'll go Capitals there.
Yeah, why not? Back my team. Also.
Yeah, I mean, I love Just Butler. I do like the Rajasthan Royals, but Parl really underperformed last time around, so I can't look beyond the Capitals.
I don't know Arnie how to get them games. Sorry, mate. I don't know. I don't know if one's on TNT. I don't know if they're on TNT or I don't know. He's saying about the games on the.
Yeah, Afghanistan India games. No, I don't know. Saturday was double header. This one, I'll go Joburg with this one. And then the next one, I'll go Durban.
No, Cape Town over Joburg for me. And what was the next one?
Sunrisers.
I'll go Sunrisers again, actually.
Yeah, Sunrisers for me too.
Okay. Mr. B, Joburg or Cape Town?
I'll go Cape Town, I think. Yeah, the thing is, I don't really know. I know you showed me the players and stuff, but I don't really know. I don't really know about it much, so I just going what you two guys are saying. I don't know.
Yeah. This Pretoria Capital should win this one at home, and this one Durban should win. Manny.
Yeah, Durban against Joburg. I think Joburg might pip this one, actually.
Fair.
Capitals. I'm going to go Durban, I think.
And even here as well, I'm going to go for the Capitals to overpower the Royals.
Okay, fair.
Yeah, I'll go Capitals because Manny seems to know his stuff, so I'll go with him there.
Well, I know everything, mate. I mean, I mean, hopefully now the Butler's rediscovered some form, it'll work out well for the Royals. But last time around, I did remember catching a few of the games, and Parle were, not really getting their act together. So it's what
Yeah.
it is.
We'll quickly do some international games predictions, and we'll end off. India woman against Australia woman. Let me just
You've
have a
got the
look at the
men's one soon,
series.
isn't it? First test is on 25th, isn't it? England, India. So
Yeah.
4 o'clock in the morning.
The
Yeah.
T20. This is the decider actually. This third one. Um, Decider who wins.
I ain't been
Um,
watching this one, I know.
I'm gonna go India woman.
Yeah, they're going well,
Australia.
Indian women, aren't they? They're playing
Yeah,
well.
they won the test against Australia, the women, but I think when it comes to
Yeah,
the limited overs, I think India a little bit out of their depth. So for me, Australia women for that one.
Okay,
yeah, I'll
okay.
go Australia as well.
Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe. Sri Lanka should win.
Well,
Sri
Zimbabwe are no
Lanka.
good anymore, though.
Sri
Zimbabwe are
Lanka.
unfortunate.
Yeah, they've lost their
Sri
coach
Lanka.
David Houghton, who's resigned, and it won't be long before several of their great players will decide to call it a day. I
Mm,
think the lack of international cricket, no tournaments in recent times, will really, really hurt them. And that's another example of how, unless they're able to get exposure to play in those tournaments and have more international cricket and be more successful, then interest in the game will almost certainly shrivel and die. And we may not see Zimbabwe playing too much international cricket in the future. A real shame
No.
because that country back in the day, that nation back in the day, oh boy, the players they had, the way they used to play. Wow.
yeah. You'll probably get to those
So
T20s on a
Archer's still
later
out.
note. On it, but yeah. Um, India, Afghanistan. India should beat Afghanistan. Um, India have gone full strength. Rohit Sharma, Kohli. New Zealand, Pakistan. New Zealand should win again. T20. And if you disagree on that,
Yeah, New Zealand should win, shouldn't they?
New Zealand, yeah. Second T20, I reckon they win two. India
Yeah.
should win that one. Sri
Pakistan
Lanka,
ain't quite
Zimbabwe.
scary yet, are they? They're still in transition, Pakistan. So
Yeah, of course. This one, Sri Lanka, Zimbabwe T20. I still think Sri Lanka should win the T20. I don't know what do you guys think.
yeah, they should win.
Easy.
Comfortably, I think.
Yeah, if it was in Zimbabwe, maybe different, but yeah. No.
Yeah,
No,
Um, but yeah,
I don't agree. I think, whether in Zimbabwe or in Sri Lanka, I think Zimbabwe just look a little bit demoralized at the moment, and it will be hard to see how they pick themselves up after failing to qualify for another major tournament. And
well,
having
they're
lost Dave
better than
Houghton,
Zimbabwe, aren't they? They're better than Zimbabwe, though. Surely, Sri Lanka.
yeah, Sri Lanka, of course, are better. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm talking about Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe are demoralized. At
Oh
least
yeah,
Sri
yeah.
Lanka have, at least Sri Lanka, I think they've had the ruling against their. I mean, I think the whole issue surrounding the politics of their board have been resolved, and at least they could start to try and recover. And they've changed some of their captains, I think. But Zimbabwe really look demoralized. That is,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
saddening to see what's happened to them. Really.
yeah. But
Yeah,
we'll wrap it up there. Let me just check quickly the private chat. See if we can.
Yeah.
That's all
Sure.
the games.
So yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm going to
I will
go
be.
just take a break quickly. So, guys, 15 minutes, Wigan, Man United, up the Wigan.
Yeah,
come
so
on,
I
Wigan.
will of
Come on,
course
Wigan. Come on,
yes,
Wigan.
I will of course end this. And Wigan obviously back in the day were FA Cup winners, but those days are long gone. Roberto Martinez's
City.
meal ticket, as I said earlier. But always good to have a cricket show and really talk about some of these pressing issues. And Steve, as always, it's a pleasure to have you here. Before I end,
Cheers, mate.
Hanno's socials are here on the ticker. And now we come to your socials. Tell us what you got coming up, where we can find you, the
Yeah.
whole 9 yards.
Well, obviously, I just done my stream not long ago, quite a few, about 2 or 3 hours ago, I suppose it was now. But I was on there quite a while, and obviously my debate show, weekend debate show. So I was doing that. I had quite a lot on there tonight as well. I had Lewis and Tyler and Stephen and Hannah, of course. But yeah, it was good. I've actually got a bit of cold and cough and stuff at the moment, which ain't great. So just about fighting all that and doing this at the same time, not easy. But yeah, so obviously I've got my subs are going well. I did lose another sub. I was 8 on 85. It went down again. I don't know why people keep unsubbing to me, but I don't know what it is. But I won't take it personally. But yeah, sorry, Manny. Throw at the moment. Anyway, so thanks for letting me on here. Thanks, Hanno, and you, Manny, for having me on. And please follow my streaming and my channel, my content. It's all good. So please keep supporting me and come on, you bees. We've got Tony back. Come on.
Oh, yep. That's nice to hear. That's nice to hear. And I think it's fair to say you can rest easy on Arsenal trying to get him. Just make sure that no one else tries to go for him unless they can really stump up the money. But yeah, I will end this quickly, of course, because Hanno wants to start the stream. But my socials, obviously, Manny Thangatherai 1981 on Threads and Instagram, and on Twitter, it's Thangatherai 1981. And the less said about our loss to Liverpool yesterday, the better. The knives are starting to come out for Arteta. Failed to achieve anything, and hopefully he'll be gone, but I'm not going to hold my breath.
Be sayonara, Arteta.
Or he's Spanish, so it would be adios and whatever.
Yeah, I don't know Spanish.
It's easy to learn, though, mate. It's easy to learn. And as always, thanks a lot.
I know what it is, adios.
Yeah, and always thanks a lot to everyone who's been in the chat, contributing, making some good comments. Chelsea fan, AFC always, Arnie, big supporters of the channel. You make this stream what it is. You make the channel what it is. And enjoy the rest of your week. I hope you all have a smashing 2024. Take care of yourselves. Be safe and be happy, and don't do anything that Steve, Hanno, and I wouldn't do. For now, though, as always, it is farewell to thee and goodbye and God bless to all of you. Cheers.